I remember as a kid playing with my next door neighbors and my brothers playing war. You know, we were dressed up and had our little BB guns and our wood rifles that we'd carved out, and we'd go play war. We were seeing it on television, which was the Korean War when I was young, and so this war came along 10 years after that, because I'm going to Vietnam. And yeah, as a photographer and a writer, that was, I figured you never get a chance, you know, you have one chance in life to cover a war, and that was my chance, and I'm glad I got it.
Child of the 60s goes to war and becomes a man of the 60s today. When you close your eyes, you can see it all. Every image is clear as day. The smell of death, the sounds you hear, the images you recall. Once Vietnam gets inside your soul, it keeps you coming back for more.
I joined the Navy to stay out of the draft. I figured that was the lesser of all the evils that I had investigated. One of my jobs was to produce this publication every month for the battalion. And we found that the best place to do that was up in Tokyo at Stars and Stripes, because they would put it together and print it for us. So I went up for about 5-6 days every month. And flying up was quite an experience, to have to fly in the military service stuff. So I had to take a helicopter up to Da Nang and wait for a day to get a flight going up to Tokyo, and then the same thing coming all the way back. And one day I flew up on a C-141, which is those large transport planes, and the flight, the crew chief came to me in the terminal and says, we've got room on board if you want to come, but it's a KIA flight. And it didn't ring a bell me. I said, yeah, sure, I'm there. So as soon as I get on the plane and he seats me down, I look at a wall of aluminum coffins that are stacked 30 across and 20 high, and it goes back for 20 rows, 20 frames. There must have been almost 800 to 1,000 dead Americans in those cases. And I sat there looking at this wall of dead people, which are in their silver coffins. And as soon as we took off, the crew chief came down. He says, the captain wants you up on the bridge with us. He doesn't think you should be down here looking at that for the next 6-hour flight. But that was the first time that I was sitting there looking at this. I says, God, there's guys getting killed here. I mean, there's 800 guys in here. They're all dead. They're going home. And this flight takes off once a week. Every week there's this many guys going home. Well, that's probably when I started thinking this is not right. There's no reason for this. And as it proved after the war was over, there was no reason for it. There was no reason for us to be there. We didn't change a thing except kill 250,000 Americans and 1 million or more Vietnamese. And who did that? Not me and my guys. Somebody up above. Some people who would never take responsibility that are sitting in wealthy homes right now did that. That's why I'm upset now with the political situation in our country. And I think that's the politicized thing that I came back with.
How did Vietnam change your character or no?
It's an experience I'm glad I have. I don't regret being there at all. My thrill about going was as strong as when I got back. I was glad to get out of the uniform, but I went down to AP within a month after getting out to try to get back in as a civilian photographer.
You took a lot of pictures while you were in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You have any idea how many you took?
No. It's funny, when you're supposed to be photographing for the service, they want to own everything, right? Well, they look at it and throw it away. We knew that. So I gave them all the stuff I didn't want to deal with, but I kept about 150 rolls of film that I brought home with me.
Do you have some favorite ones in there that you might want to talk about?
Well, most of those, the favorite ones, are about the Vietnamese people. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of portraits that I made of Vietnamese people. There's kids, you know, playing marbles. There's markets. There's fishermen with their nets drying, and there's a portrait of a fisherman with his net fixing, you know, bobbin in his turban. There are some convoy photographs, and then the rest of the stuff was pictures of what went on with my outfit, with the things they were building. The job was to document what my outfit was doing, the things they were building, and the men at work, and to put together a monthly newspaper, tabloid, that we would send to the parents, we would send to other units, to let people within the services and let the parents and the families back home know what their sons were doing. And one of the things I always did in that particular publication that went home is I would report on what it was like to be with the Vietnamese people.
What were your impressions?
They were pretty much like a lot of the Americans. They were unaware of what was going on. They knew that there was a lot of war going on around them, but I don't know if they knew why. They were eking out a living in the rice paddies, or in the fishing industry was all they could handle. They're a marvelous people. They are as resilient as the Americans are. What they've come back from, and with forgiveness. They have forgiven us faster than we have forgiven them. And that is amazing, the forgiveness.
Armed with a camera and a curious mind, he made sure that we'd never forget. You look at the pictures and you wonder where and how all the years came and went. With age comes wisdom to make sense of it all when we retrace the steps in our mind. It's a journey we take on our road back from hell, and the answers we hope we will find. Take a look in the mirror, you can still see the boy that had once gone off to war. You can look past the gray and the lines of age and recall what it felt like and more. The memories you have of the war that you fought will forever be saved for mankind, thanks to a child of the 60s who went off to war with a camera and a curious mind.